Donald Trump had a pretty disastrous day today with King Charles and his wife visiting from Great Britain on an official state visit, and it ended in an even worse way for Donald Trump, if you can believe it.
So Harry J. Sisson just captured Trump's disastrous performance during King Charles' state visit. And this matters because it perfectly illustrates how Trump's narcissism damages America's international standing. We're looking at diplomatic protocol violations, historical ignorance, and health concerns that foreign leaders notice. Let's break this down.
He gave this speech at the state dinner tonight, which was just awful. I mean, a disastrous speech all the way through. You can tell from these clips that we're about to watch that his team told him to just read the speech. Read the words on the paper, don't deviate, don't get off track, don't do the weave, as he'd like to call it, just read the speech. But of course, it's Donald Trump we're talking about here. He could not control himself, so he starts talking about golf, or the war in Iran, or a variety of other topics. We're going to watch some clips from his speech.
Trump's inability to follow a script during diplomatic events has consistently undermined U.S. foreign policy. State dinners are choreographed for a reason. They signal respect for allies and demonstrate American competence. When he goes off script, it signals chaos to world leaders who rely on predictable partnerships.
I want to rewind a little bit and go back to the meeting they had earlier today with Trump having yet another embarrassing health moment. His bulging cankles were caught on camera at this historic event. Now, I've described Donald Trump's ankles as being as wide as tree trunks in the redwood forest in California, and I think these photos kind of back up that assessment, so let's get into it.
This is classic Trump, turning solemn diplomatic moments into personal publicity opportunities. While King Charles represents centuries of institutional stability, Trump can't resist making everything about his golf game or military bragging. It's embarrassing for America on the world stage.
Donald Trump, 79 years old, about to be 80, flashed a glimpse of his perpetually bloated ankles during a high-profile Oval Office meeting with King Charles III, as the near octogenarian president sat with the King of the United Kingdom during the second day of his state visit to the United States. Photographers snapped multiple photos showing his swollen cankles inside the Oval Office, and you can get a zoomed-in version here, and they are still very, very swollen. Now, the White House has downplayed this and said it's going to go away. They have not gone away. The ankles are still very much swollen.
Presidential health matters because world leaders assess American strength through their commander-in-chief. When Putin, Xi, or other adversaries see visible health decline, it affects their strategic calculations. Trump's vanity about compression socks reveals how personal insecurity shapes national security decisions.
And then I briefly want to talk about Trump being jealous, in his own words, of King Charles's brutal speech to Congress today, where he actually mocked Donald Trump as well. And I guess Donald Trump doesn't realize that. Maybe it just went over his head, or he's pretending he doesn't realize it. I don't know. But Donald Trump was unable to hide his jealousy when he and First Lady Melania Trump welcomed King Charles and Queen Camilla to the White House for a state dinner.
Chronic venous insufficiency at Trump's age often indicates broader cardiovascular issues. The fact that he stopped medical treatment because he didn't like how it looked perfectly encapsulates how his ego overrides practical concerns, including his health and America's need for stable leadership.
Trump said he made a great speech while pointing to the king. I was very jealous, Trump said. They were flanked on both sides by their wives. In his address at the dinner, Trump again referenced the king's speech to Congress. Quote, "I want to congratulate Charles on having made a fantastic speech at Congress. He got the Democrats to stand. I've never been able to do that. I couldn't believe it." He added to applause. It sounds like Donald Trump is really thinking about this speech. I mean, this is his second time bringing it up publicly. And so maybe he is jealous. I don't know.
The White House's boilerplate responses about Trump being sharp and transparent ring hollow when paired with visible evidence to the contrary. This disconnect between messaging and reality is exactly what foreign intelligence services analyze to gauge American leadership stability and decision-making capacity.
And that brings us to this clip, the final one I want to show you before we get into some videos, of Donald Trump doing something that he's done on the world stage before, cutting in front of Queen Camilla to shake some hands. We've seen Donald Trump do this at different conferences, cutting world leaders off, shaking hands in front of them, wanting to be the center of attention, and it happened yet again. Just take a look.
Trump's public admission of jealousy toward King Charles reveals dangerous insecurity. Foreign leaders exploit these psychological vulnerabilities. We saw it with Putin's flattery and Kim Jong-un's pageantry. When a president openly envies others' respect, it signals weakness that adversaries will capitalize on.
How considerate, huh? Just, oh, big man in town. Oh, let me just get in right here. Let me just, It's so absurd. Let me just get in. He just wants to be the center of the tension all the time.
When Democrats show more respect for a foreign monarch than their own president, it exposes Trump's fundamental failure to unite the country. King Charles earned bipartisan standing ovations through dignity and statesmanship, qualities Trump has never demonstrated in similar settings.
And if I may say so, it is a particular pleasure to be back in this wonderful building, the heart of your democracy. On this occasion, I cannot help noticing the readjustments to the East Wing, Mr. President, following your visit to Windsor Castle last year. And I'm sorry to say that we British, of course, made our own small attempt at real estate redevelopment of the White House in 1814.
Trump violated basic diplomatic protocol again. We saw similar behavior at NATO summits where he physically pushed Montenegro's prime minister aside. These aren't small mistakes. They systematically erode decades of carefully built relationships with crucial allies who remember every slight.
You know, Trump down there, after that joke, is turning to Melania, maybe for comfort. I don't know. But it is an uncomfortable topic for Donald Trump because he's been grifting these past couple of days. He's been demanding that essentially the American people pay for the ballroom.
Narcissistic leaders consistently prioritize personal attention over national interests. While Queen Camilla represents institutional diplomacy, Trump's compulsive need to be center stage undermines the careful relationship building that actual foreign policy requires. It's fundamentally childish behavior from America's representative.
This said, our French friends can feel equally at home with a glance at a map. Indeed, you recently commented, Mr. President, that if it were not for the United States, European countries would be speaking German. Dare I say that if it wasn't for us, you'd be speaking French.
King Charles just referenced the War of 1812 when British forces burned the White House. A sophisticated historical jab that completely went over Trump's head. The king essentially said, "We've renovated your house before," referring to when they literally destroyed it in 1814.
What are the odds you think Donald Trump got that joke? What are the odds? I'm not feeling too good about it. What are the odds that Donald Trump knows U.S. history and knows anything about the French and the British fighting in Northern America? And if it weren't for Britain winning, then we'd be speaking French here in the United States. What are the odds that Donald Trump knows that?
The irony is perfect. King Charles mocks Trump's expensive ballroom renovation while Republicans push $400 million to fund it. Yet they refuse similar investments in healthcare, education, or food assistance. Foreign leaders notice these priority choices when evaluating American values and competence.
Always turned. They have such love and such respect. Today, most of Britain's former colonies have no idea what they truly owe to this towering legacy of law, liberty, and British custom that they were given. We were given that, and it was a great, great gift.
Charles referenced the French and Indian War, where British victory over France determined that North America would be English-speaking rather than French-speaking. It's sophisticated diplomatic humor that requires actual historical knowledge, something Trump clearly lacks based on his upcoming response.
The president of the United States just said that we were given the 13 colonies. Has he gone to a basic U.S. history class? Has he attended one in like a middle school setting, maybe a high school setting? That feels a little late to learn about the Revolutionary War. Does he not know that happened?
Trump's historical ignorance isn't just embarrassing, it's strategically dangerous. How can he negotiate with allies or adversaries without understanding the historical context that shapes their relationships? His confusion about basic American founding principles undermines credibility in every international discussion.
But it was unconquerable courage, this inexhaustible supply of ambition, ingenuity, and resolve. From the trenches of World War I to the beaches of Normandy, from the frozen hills of Korea to the scorching sands of North Africa and the Middle East. And we're doing a little Middle East work right now, too, if you might know. And we're doing very well. We have militarily defeated that particular opponent. And we're never going to let that opponent ever, Charles agrees with me, even more than I do, we're never going to let that opponent have a nuclear weapon. They know that, and they've known it right now very powerfully.
Trump just claimed Britain gave America its independence, completely ignoring the Revolutionary War where colonists fought and died to break free from British rule. This isn't a minor mistake, it's fundamental ignorance about the violent struggle that created our nation.
Honestly, my first thought is I'm surprised he was able to read some of those words. Those are bigger words for Donald Trump. We're talking 3 syllables, and he was able to get it out. So I'm honestly surprised by that. But, it's just remarkable to see his mind at work. It is so mush up there that anytime he reads the word like Middle East or Biden or Democrats or Harris or the long list or fraud, he will just start rambling about another topic that is lightly connected to what he just said.
The Revolutionary War cost thousands of American lives and lasted 8 years. It wasn't a gift. Trump's revisionist history insults every patriot who sacrificed for independence. When the president doesn't understand how America was founded, it raises serious questions about his fitness to lead it.
Donald Trump up there, we're doing a little bit of work in the Middle East. We've decimated them. We've destroyed them. And not a peep. You didn't hear King Charles hollering hell yeah or anything. He wasn't very vocal in support of what Donald Trump was saying. It's just interesting to see how he just cannot control himself. Remarkable. Crowd goes silent.
Trump turned a formal diplomatic moment into campaign-style bragging about Iran military strikes. This violates every norm of state dinner protocol. These events showcase American values and partnership, not military dominance. It's why foreign leaders increasingly see America as unreliable and aggressive.
Character we share, this unstoppable daring, this unconquerable courage, it really is, it's unconquerable. And speaking of that, where's Rory McIlroy? Can stand up, Rory, will you please? That was unconquerable courage. That was very good, Rory. I don't know if that helps them talk about how wonderful the speech, but I had to interrupt my speech because I watched that man win a tournament. That was a tough one. Congratulations. Very proud of you.
This stream of consciousness speaking pattern isn't charming, it's cognitive decline that foreign intelligence services carefully monitor. When Trump can't maintain focus during scripted diplomatic events, it signals to adversaries that America's decision-making processes are compromised and unpredictable.
Unconquerable courage for Rory McIlroy. He could have shouted out literally anybody. Could have shouted out Americans in the Middle East who are currently fighting or the families of fallen soldiers. Literally could have been anybody else, and he shouts out Rory McIlroy. I don't have any problems with Rory McIlroy. I think golf is interesting. I used to play golf. But a little weird in the middle of this state dinner, no? I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
The silence from British guests speaks volumes. Diplomatic protocol requires polite applause, but Trump's inappropriate military boasting left them with nothing to support. This kind of tone-deaf behavior is exactly why European allies have lost confidence in American diplomatic sophistication.
I will leave the video there. That's Donald Trump, a little snippet of Donald Trump's day today. Not a good one, not a great one. So, do with that information what you will. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Make sure to drop a like on the video as well. Subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. I greatly appreciate you all and being involved with me and supporting me and being one during this madness. I mean, it's really much easier to get through when we're together, and I'm so proud of the community we're building here. I don't take it for granted ever. So have an amazing rest of your day, and we will.
At a state dinner honoring Britain's monarch, Trump chose to spotlight a golfer over veterans, diplomats, or public servants making real sacrifices. This reveals his fundamental inability to distinguish between appropriate venues for different priorities, entertainment versus serious diplomacy.